And we're back. This is Lance from the vlog, and I'm back with a new video. And from time to time, I get some vendors who reach out to me in regards to doing product for them, or even just taking products and then using it in the vehicle. So I had a customer, I should say a vendor reached out to me, a company called Invicta, which I believe I'm saying that right, who has tablet style radios. So with tablet style radios, that's a new market as far as brands and stuff like that. So I elected to venture and test the product for them. I wouldn't say test, I would say put one in my car, my truck, because my factory radio from time to time does some freezing. So my truck's a 2017 F-150, and it's an XLT, and it has a base audio package, based from the standpoints of what it came with from the factory. So I decided, okay, let's test this radio, put it in my vehicle, and give my good feedback on it. Now, I always generally do really nice, I like testing products for people, no matter what the brand is. I really like testing products for all different kinds of manufacturers, because you never know, you'll find a hidden gem based out there. So with that said, we got the Invicta Tesla style radio, which is this unit here, and I hope I'm saying it right. This is a nice unit here. This is a Tesla size screen with everything built into it. So the things that this is going to work in, and from what I can see, is going to work in the 2017, I should say 2015 to 2020 F-150 style radios, non-Bose and non-amplified. So if you got a standard truck with a standard radio, this would be a good upgrade from the standpoints of just the things it could do. It's real reasonable as well. It also is going to work on the 17 to 2020 F Super Duty. So if you got a Super Duty with a base package, even I would say with a non-digital amplifier, this is going to work in your truck. So the things they're going to come with is they're going to come in the box, which I already opened it up with. It's going to come with a screen. So in the box, I should say in the box is going to have a bunch of different cables. It's going to give you a contact sheet for tech support, a little wipe down towel. It's going to have you're going to have a GPS antenna, so when you're using the unit's built-in mapping system that's connected via Wi-Fi to either your phone or hotspot, that's what that GPS antenna is going to be used for, to allow the mapping system on the screen to work. You're going to have the Wi-Fi antenna, which allows you to sling your phone to there, because this unit has some cool features as far as CarPlay. Then you're going to have your pre-outs. You're going to have front and rear, and you're going to have a mic control on it, mic input, because it comes with a mic. It's going to have camera input, so you're going to have front camera input, you're going to have a side camera input, and then you're going to have rear camera input, which allows you to use your OEM factory 360 camera if you have that. And you have an aux cable. Now, the aux cable here, I should say aux, it'll say DVR connect cable on it, which this one will allow you to connect accessories if you wanted to. So it's got 12 volts, it's got ground, it's got switched, it's got IR. I don't know if you ever use the IR. It's also got the video input and audio input for the aux. So if you want to sling a piggyback device onto it, it will allow you to do that. This also has a USB connection, so you can actually plug in to your USB. This would do a lot of cool stuff from the standpoints of just playing video and stuff through the USB drive, because the unit itself does CarPlay. Now we're going to test the wireless. It does CarPlay and Android Auto. It also has the antenna connector that comes in the box, so if you change the radio out any Ford, you're going to have to actually use that antenna adapter. Then you're going to have the optical out. So why would you need an optical out? Because if you want to run an external DSP, this allows you to get the best sound out of the unit. So if you're slinging it to a music app or anything like that, it'll come directly out of the source. Then you have your mic that comes in the box. So you can make your voice commands. Then you're going to also have another USB here, which is another harness. This one allows you to do phone link if you have like an Android phone, and then a straight USB connector, which allows you to play directly into the factory Ford USB. So if you have a console USB in your truck, this one piece here will allow you to do that. Then you're going to have the 4G stuff. So I separated this just because some people will not use this feature. I'm not going to use it, but I'll tell you what it does. This actually has the ability to take a SIM card and plug it into the unit, and allows it to play 4G streaming information, so you don't have to attach it to a Wi-Fi hotspot. You can use a 4G chip and then do a hotspot off that unit directly. And these are the corresponding antennas for 4G. It'll actually they're identified on the unit. It says 4G, and this one says 4G as well. So in my particular case, I'm not going to use this, but if you're planning on doing Wi-Fi 4G and have the insert chip and card, you will need to install these. So, and these are the other harnesses you're going to have, that's going to come with. This is the harness that I was saying that allows you to plug into the factory system. So what's cool about that is that there's going to be a couple different connectors on here. So this just plugs in, gives you speaker out, turns the unit off and on, and then it's going to have a corresponding connector for if you have a factory sub with an analog system. This one will allow you to do that. It's going to have some other corresponding connectors on it, like even a bulletproof here. So say I have the 360 camera. This unit here, this harness here, allows you to use the 360 camera. This plug will plug directly into this actual harness. This plug plugs directly in the harness, and the wires match, so you can see that there's no separation or differences in that unit. Then it's going to have this connector here, which allows it to trigger those cameras. So this plug plugs directly in there, and it matches up directly to there. So this would make it a plug-and-play harness if you have a 360 camera, and it's very well defined on there. And then if you just have a regular camera, reverse camera from the factory, this is the harness for that, and that'll allow you to plug in directly into the input, which is on this harness here. So, and then what this magic box does, it tells it all the magic. It tells it when its turn signals are engaged, it tells you when everything's engaging when you're using either the backup camera or the 360 camera. It has that spot on it. And then we'll go through. So now let's talk about the back of the unit. So once you pull the factory radio out, you're going to see that you're going to have connectors for the AC controller and the other connectors. There's going to be 2 connectors. So we're going to pull that out, and I'll show you how that comes apart, and we're going to show how that plugs in. You're going to have a couple things happen. So let's plug a couple of things in and see where they go. Now I haven't walked through this, but the connectors are there. So this is going to be a 4-pin connector. We just got to find the 4-pin connector here, which will be on the top here. Plugs right in. As you can see, it releases real easily. It snaps in place, so you know it goes in without any kind of issues. If you have to force it into the connector, then you know it's not necessarily good. So let me tell you a couple things that won't have a physical plug-in on the unit that you'll have to use if you want to use later. So it has an HDMI output right here, and it actually identifies right there. It says output. So if you have an HDMI cable, you want to plug it in and run another device, you can. It also has a spot for the 4G antenna. So if you pull on this thing here, it'll release, and you can actually insert your 4G antenna, 4G SD card in here and snack it in. If you do that route, we're not going to do that. And then we're going to plug in the other harnesses. So this one is a 8-pin, or this is a 10-pin. This is an 8-pin connector. So plug it in the corresponding 8-pin. If it doesn't go in, then you know it's not right. It also has grooves on the corner. So as you can see here, these are grooves. These grooves will plug in and allow you to plug directly into the spot you want it to. And then you're going to have another connector here, which is I want to say it's a camera input plug, which is a large connector, and that's pretty much really easy to find. It's the largest connector on here. That snaps in there. Then we're going to have some other smaller connectors. This one's also a 6-pin. So we're going to find the 6-pin connector here, which happens to be here, I believe. Nope. So it's grooved. So if we don't have it right, it's not going to go in. So we plug it in. I want to say it's the bottom one here. Should slide right in place. And if it's not right, if you got to force it in, that's not the right connection there. Okay. But this one slid right in and out. If you pull on the bottom tab and slide it out, it should slide right out. I had to wiggle it, but it still fits really well. Okay. That's a good connector. Then we're going to have a black one here, a white one here, which is your USB, which is your USB line connector. That one's going to go right here, I believe. Should slide right in and lock in place. And you're going to have a aqua blue, which is an 8-pin. No, it's a 6-pin. So that'll go there. Then we're going to have another connector at the bottom. This is going to be your pre-out connector with also with the actual Bluetooth mic. And that one goes right at the bottom here. Like I said, if it's the wrong connector, it's not going to fit. So let's try here. That should be here. Push it in snug. And then that should be it. Your other connections will be. So at this point, you don't have any, you have one open spot, which is right here. So this is going to plug into the corresponding blue connector there, which is your GPS antenna. This is obviously the actual car antenna, which plugs in there. You're going to have your GPS antenna, or I should say your Wi-Fi antenna. That's going to plug into there, or screw onto there, I should say. And then you're going to have your Bluetooth mic, which should plug into your pre-out harness, which will plug in there. So push in and snap, then it's in. And then you're gonna have your main harness that plugs in here. So those are all your main connectors on the unit itself. All the other things will be connections on the car itself. And so you shouldn't have any problems with that. So what we're gonna do, we'll pull all these connections off here. And we'll go to the car. What we'll do is we'll take the radio out, we'll run the microphone, and we'll figure out how all this goes together, how the connectors snap in, and go from there, okay? So it's not complicated. So with the bezel physically removed, we're going to remove these 6 screws that hold this screen in. We're also going to remove these 4 screws to take the actual main radio out. So we'll take these out. And then we're going to take these 4 screws out here. I like to make sure everything plugs in when I'm doing any kind of install. So I'll double check the connectors just to make sure I have everything correctly. That pops the way it should be in. And you're gonna have the camera connector here, which this works on this particular truck. It has a connection here, so I'll plug it in like so. It locks in place. And then we're gonna have the main plug here, which should plug in here like so. And then we're gonna be, it also has a harness that plugs in here, so I don't know if this is gonna need to be plugged in physically, but we'll plug it in. If we don't need it, we'll unplug it. Even though this is there. So worst case scenario, we'll heat shrink this because this says sub on it. We don't have a sub connection on here, but we'll make sure everything's nice and tight when we're done. We'll make sure everything works right. So all the connectors that we need to plug in, because that's all that needs to be unplugged, plugged in. We just now got to put the mic in and then get you install the unit itself. So I'm going to unplug everything from this physically, and we're going to put the mic in and go from there. So I did tape this off because I was going to do a test fit. And the one thing I did discover is that, so you're going to move these connectors that were located on top of the radio before, which came through this slot here. You're going to have to move this harness all the way down here. So at first I thought that it was going to be complicated because I'd have to extend these wires out. There's technically five wires on one and one on the other. You don't have to do that. So this harness actually starts at the bottom and goes all the way up. So what I basically did was I took an actual blade alpha knife and carefully detached it from the original harness. And now what I'm going to do is re-tape that wire harness because I have Tessa tape, but I didn't have to cut anything other than cutting the tape. And I'm going to re-Tessa tape this harness here, or you can use electrical tape, doesn't matter, but I'm going to use Tessa because that's what's going to come with the truck. And I extended it down to the bottom, so later on if I want to move back up, I can reattach it to the harness. It's not that complicated, it's not that difficult. But physically cutting the wires, you could do that, but this is way easier from the standpoints of just doing it. So I got this back in. I'm gonna have to Tessa tape that, and I'm gonna Tessa tape this one here, and I'll make it look sexy when I'm all said and done on my own. But literally all the wires are ran that way. So all that's left is to physically remove the tabs off that, and we're gonna run this wire down here so it'll plug in. Now I elected to run the harnesses up. You can actually run them down if you want to and up underneath the device, but the radio fits perfectly in here. So literally doing that to me didn't seem very feasible. Now some you can run up and some you can run down. It just depends on your choice. You know, if it doesn't seem like it fits right, it works better that way. You could do it that way. And then what I also did is, in my case, I took the factory plugs, which normally go through this spot here, and because it has such a protective tubing on there, because when it's in there, it don't want to rub. So when it's in there, you don't have that problem. I ran it underneath, and you don't have to detach that. You can actually just plug it in the way you want it to physically. You might have to actually pull the wires back a little bit, and then you could tape it back up. She's in. Still got the plastic on the cover. Screen's plugged in. Looking tight. Looks nice. Snapped in place. We're in business. So stay tuned for another video of me playing with this thing. But right now I just got it all installed. We see it works. It lights up. The doors, things work. We got all kinds of other menus we work with. We see the AC works. It has temperature here. It's got climate. You can turn the climate fans up from here. That's what I gotta play with. Switches all work. Traction control works. AC's on. Circulation. Really dope. It's a nice radio. So we'll play with it and tell you what it thinks when we get it all squared away. Stay tuned for the next video. It's really nice.